Here we are. Welcome to the final episode of the Survivor Maryland Major Conflict Recap. We are done. Now that Eric is gone, we quit. This is a protest, a boycott, if you will. I'm just kidding. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live Reality Games podcast. I'm Naomi, here with Steven. We're recapping Survivor Maryland. Steven, how are you?
Well, as you can tell, I'm wearing black. You're wearing black. For all our listeners, we are in mourning. We've been mourning all week. I mean, I guess on Monday I'll have to wear something. I'll run out of black T-shirts, but for another day, man, it's been a dark week.
And why are we mourning? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're mourning because Eric is joining us. Eric, how are you?
We're mourning he was voted out real fast. Not that he's joining us. We're mourning he's voted out.
Well, okay, all right. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing great. Just came back from a quick tennis session. I'm wearing my favorite gym shirt for the season that I played in. So yeah, doing great.
I feel like everybody works out in their Survivor shirt, whatever game they've played. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely the move. Exactly. See, it's the move. We're all on the same page here.
Yes. So very first thing, our question for you is, what did you think of Teresa? And this is from Teresa herself.
I think Teresa just got unlucky. Like, definitely there are a group of people who weren't in the 6-person alliance who got really unlucky at the start of the game. Yeah. And I'm one of them. Yeah, like we can just see how well they fared. Like, I didn't do too. Like, I got voted out, and it's only the 5th episode. There's probably like another 10, so you can see how well I did. I think T was really cool. She actually did come to talk to me, and I think I just had to lie to her face just because it I don't think it made the episode, but I actually distinctly remember it. It was like right before the tribal that morning of. We met like right behind like one of the apartment, like my apartment building on like a bench, and we talked. But it was like too late. It's just there's just like there's nothing we could have done. So yeah.
No grand sweeping plan that could have come to fruition. Yeah. So Steven, right off the bat, what do you want to talk to Eric about? What's on your mind?
So walk us through. So I guess let's start with the basics. How did you hear about Survivor Maryland? What led you to apply for it?
Yeah, so the first thing I did was I actually one of my friends, they played in Anders' first season, and I just heard they played. So then I went to YouTube and I watched. So I watched season 4, and I don't know, like, if I hope everyone's watched season 4 if they're watching this, but I just like saw the game. I was like, wow, that's pretty fun. And I was like, I have no clue how well I do, but I might as well just play, see how it works out. So I applied, and that's how I heard about it.
Are you a fan of Survivor?
I like after I watched season 4, I watched a couple episodes. Not episodes, sorry, of a couple seasons. Like I watched one where Yule won. I forgot the name of it.
Cook Islands.
Blanking out. Yep, Cook Islands. And I watched the one, I think Gabon. Like I watched like half of Gabon because like one of my favorite Smash players, he played in that, Ken.
Nice.
Yeah, Kenny,
yeah. So I watched that, and then afterwards I was watching like some of the newer seasons too. But then I think now I'm a little bit less into it, probably because it's been a while. But yeah.
It's also modern Survivor is a lot. I don't blame anybody who doesn't watch anymore. It's a little too much.
So I want to bring up a quote you said, like at the game starts, and we get this quote from you saying, I'm going to go in and be really annoying. Weird is the best cover for weird. Talk to us through your strategy coming to this game and how that maybe changed over time.
I'm not going to lie. I think I just had no clue what I was doing. So I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to be different. I was like, I'm just going to be weird. Just see what happens. Hopefully, like, that just means that people don't take you too seriously and don't think like you're some sort of like crazy evil mastermind. But looking back, I think I might not have been. I'm definitely like top 2, top 3 weirdest people. But I think Evan beat me for that. In my words, not like his. I think Evan beat me for weirdest, and he also didn't do too hot. So I think like if you take like a results-oriented perspective, it's probably not a good idea. So for anyone watching, don't be weird.
I think weird to an extent, like, pays off, if that makes sense. Like, someone like Chris Thomas comes to mind. It's just like, you can be kind of outwardly kooky and brash, and sometimes it works out. But other times I think in social situations where people feel very uncomfortable, they go like, "Oh, well, that person's weird. I don't know." I think you're totally right. Whose boot is more not Gucci, yours or Evan's? It's hard to tell.
Yeah. Evan got it's so unlucky. Like I could totally see myself forgetting the start of the game and just like waking up late. Oh man, that's just bad luck. There's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, yeah, set like 5 alarms in a row and have them all go at once. So Eric, I just wanted to know, first of all, like you had talked in the Anders interview, which is a great sort of like post-show recap, about how you voted for Chris. Sorry. I don't remember who Tim and Chris are. I don't remember that they're different people. So Chris goes home, and you said you kind of did it to keep Dane happy because Dane didn't want to vote out Doug at some point. So how can you walk us through, like, I guess the fracturing of your relationship with Dane? Did you like have any idea? We see a lot of Dane confessionals about how he doesn't really want to work with you anymore. Did you have any idea this was happening? I felt bad. I don't know how you felt.
I had no clue. Like, I just thought that there was nothing he could do about it, which I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. Vote me out. There's nothing you can do about it at this point. But I didn't know he actually felt like I betrayed him. I was like, dude, I wanted to get Doug out. And then since you think that there's a way that Doug staying in the game will help your game, I'm like, yeah, you're my like best. You're my number one guy.
Right.
So I'm okay. If this helps you, it also helps me. I'm down for your person to go home. So I was like, yeah, it's totally fine. I also didn't expect people to like take the words said at Tribal so seriously. So I was like,
get into that.
yeah. So I was like, dang. So like looking back, like when I said it at Tribal and right afterwards, like when like reading the room, I was like, oh dang, I think I probably made a mistake here for saying how I worded things, but I didn't think it mattered, to be honest. Like, yeah. You live and you learn.
Well, I think it's really interesting because as and it's probably the fan in me, I'm watching Tribal and I'm like, yeah, Eric's just being kind of boisterous, and you're also, to be fair, getting Sadie on your side and trying to convince people like, hey, and I think to an extent, I don't know how much this is true and you can correct me, but like Doug is very scared, clearly. Like Doug is playing sort of a rat game where he's like trying to snake his way around. And so the more you're sort of like forceful, the more you can kind of scare Doug into doing what you want him to do. And I was like, this is great. This is entertainment. And then everyone's like, he was such a dick. And I was like, man, shut the fuck up. Like,
hey, yeah, I mean, like, after reading, I didn't think it was too bad, but after reading The Room, I felt that too, which is why, like, I guess there were a lot of clips of me trying to apologize to people. But yeah, like, Doug was definitely quaking in his boots. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, my man should have went home. He should be quaking in his boots. Like, good for him. He quaked in his boots. He did what he needed to do to stay alive. Great play by him. Like, good work.
Yeah, I do think it's a mistake for Dane to be so anti you after this vote, and I still don't really understand it. But I understand why you're like, oh well, Dane had to do what he had to do. Like, I don't understand why Dane did this. Steven, what did you think?
Well, I mean, Dane made it very clear. It's like, I want to be the villain here. I think he's like, Eric is trying to strong arm me. Eric is trying to be the villain, but that's the role I want to play, and I can't let other people play this role. Is that something that you kind of got when watching the episode back, Eric?
I guess. I honestly, when I just watched it, I'm just confused. I'm still confused. Like, me and Dane, like, we're not the best friends going in, but like, I knew the guy at least a little bit. We played Smash Bros together. I think I said that in the episode, and I thought we were like on good enough terms that like whatever needs to happen, we're gonna be working together. I thought like Dane would be like my Tim. If I was Doug, Dane would be Tim. Yeah, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It does make sense. I concur. I don't know what happened.
Could you like maybe walk through your alliance relationship with Dane and Delaron? Because it seems like you're always being the one that was trying to reach out to them, bring them in. They kind of felt very wishy-washy and working with you until they're like, hey, they're voting Delaron out.
Yeah, so like I said this on Anders's post-episode recap too, but like I actually didn't put enough time into this game, in my opinion. So most of the clips that you see me like in, they were probably like 70 to 80% of like how much work I actually did. Whereas for other people, you're gonna see a lot like clips of them. They probably put in that's maybe like 30% of how much time they put in. So what you're seeing when you see me go to them, it's not actually like me continually talking to them, which is why like I think it's something that as fans, you guys might really think I'm doing a great job, but I actually didn't do a good enough job of actually like securing that alliance. So when I was talking to Delaram, I only talked to her like maybe once or twice. And when I was talking to Dane, also I thought that it was like good enough to only talk to him a couple times. But that's like not true. For if anyone's playing or planning to play one of these games, you need to spend a lot of time, because it's not like real Survivor where you're stuck on an island, you don't have other responsibilities. You have to actually make time and say like, look, put all this time in. So I am going to them, but on another extent, since everyone else is also playing the game, they're putting so much more time into it. They end up talking to Dale more. They end up talking to Dane more, which I think ultimately that's why it's so much easier for them to just be like, look, there's nothing we can do about Eric. Let's just get him out. Yeah.
Yeah, and to an extent, I think people get super scared once a big move has been made. We see it happen in regular Survivor too. People make a big move and then immediately are taken out. And so it just like, it always sort of, what's that word? I don't know. Just the dominoes fall, let's say. And it kind of goes out the window. But I wanted to talk about, I just had a quick question. Were you in a production of The Wiz? Like, where is this shirt from? Because it made me laugh the moment I saw it.
I don't know. Wait, first of all, I have a question for you. Why did it make you laugh? I thought everyone loved
I was a theater kid. Shocker. I was a theater kid, and I was in a production of Oz. I also saw productions of The Wiz. So it just made me laugh. Like, the graphic design felt immediately like theater kid to me, and I just laughed. I was like, well, I want to know Eric. What was he in The Wiz? Was he in, like, what happened?
Okay, yeah. In high school, throughout like middle school and high school, I played violin. So I was like in the pit orchestra for like the school musical.
Okay.
Yeah, for The Wiz. Yeah, so that's the backstory for that. That's the lore behind The Wiz shirt.
I always like to know what people like did in high school theater. I think it informs a lot about. I love that. I don't know why. It's just look. I didn't say I was normal. So when like. We had this challenge. I thought this challenge was great, but when you heard what this challenge was, this whole convoluted, like everyone's an animal, good luck, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking like, damn, I really better pick a good animal here. And then I was like, yeah, let me just lie to my tribe and let's say we should all get voted out. And then I was like, wait, I'm the chameleon. I really need everyone to get voted out because it's like hard. Like, what can you do? I can like pretend to be a porcupine and someone will like probably. Because it's like for some people they want to die, or like it's okay for them to like die. So like it's totally fine for them to just like sack themselves to get me out. One thing I was super surprised was I didn't know both tribes are trying to get me out. That's something I didn't know. I thought I was just playing against my own tribe, to be honest.
So you had no idea that Doug and Mike immediately made that backdoor deal.
Yeah, no clue.
Eric's the boot. Let's just make sure he loses.
Yeah, I had no clue. I was blind for that. Definitely.
Doug is such a snake. I mean, I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, but like it's hilarious to me how snake Doug is. And then they're all like, oh, well, we're like the heroes, which I don't think they're bad people by any means, but like, it's really funny to see Doug basically like weasel, and then be like, we're great. Everyone's going to love us.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. He has a great smile.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Doug should do ASMR. That's my pitch. So, what made you go with choosing the eagle?
So that's like something I lose sleep over. That's a terrible choice. I should have picked the porcupine.
Or
obviously, yeah. Like looking back through the episode, I'm like, dang, it was doomed regardless. But I could have done better. It still would have been doomed, but could have done better. I just thought if I was the eagle, I'd be like an apex predator. So if I like went to not the flying zone, I'd be safe for like a couple rounds because I think it's like you have to go to your place twice. So my goal was like hopefully I can like not go to the flying place early, no one would attack me, and then like for like the last 2 rounds I could just like luckily dodge predators. I think it still would have been better to just like choose the porcupine or someone that can defend themselves without like anything else. But I just thought that like, okay, if I choose a predator that's high up, people are less likely to attack me. I'm also the eagle, so then it's not like the lion or something that someone like, because the lion's gonna be in the lion's habitat. So I didn't want to be the lion. I wanted to be someone that wasn't in this person's habitat normally, but also is like high enough on the food chain that wouldn't get attacked. And hopefully it'd be too late for people to attack me by the time they're like, oh man, this guy's definitely not the eagle.
Well, I felt the main challenge for you was that everyone immediately just shared all their information with their tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if the game was everyone only knew one person, there's a lot of hidden information, you could have gone away with a lot of stuff. But because everyone immediately like spilled information to everyone and like nothing was really hidden because of that, that was really bad for your game.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But when it's like 1v18 or 1v17, no 1v16, it's like it's kind of doomed.
Luck, yeah. Well, who's the more apex predator, you or Josh? I'm just kidding.
You're Josh, dang.
Well, Josh
It's
is the real
definitely Josh.
eagle.
Yeah.
So
Probably
we
Josh.
heard. So I'm curious, like when you got picked immediately first, like you were out round one. Did you have any like red flags going sort of off in your head? Were you trusting of your yellow tribe still, or were you kind of like, well, I knew that was going to happen?
Oh, I was just super worried. I was like, dang, I really hope everyone dies. So we can just like stick to the plan. The plan that I didn't want to stick to. I just wanted to stay alive. I didn't want to die. But, yep.
And you had just like the worst person for like the ability to stay alive. Like it just, such a like not working out combination.
If I actually got the eagle, oh man, it'd be so sick. It'd be the sickest thing. Everyone, like, all the fans would be hyped. They're like, oh man.
Oh yes,
I was
absolutely.
really hoping you were going to continue. I was really praying for a continued immunity streak for you. I was like, this is his chance. Escape Tribal Council once again. Get to the next stage of the game. Things will open up at the swap.
Yeah.
Alas.
How was the gross food eating challenge, by the way? That looked disgusting.
I think like I honestly don't even remember after watching the episode which one I had, but it just tasted like nothing. Like it didn't taste good or bad. I think there were worse ones. I think the one with butter in it, by far, it'd be like viscous. Like how do you even like it wouldn't be good. And the one with like I think the purple or black one. I think it was.
Yeah, I said the black looked the grossest.
Yeah, so you were like the white round with Alfredo sauce and the milk.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like, if you think about it, it's bad. But if you just like don't think about it, then it's like Alfredo sauce already has milk in it, right? You're basically just drinking Alfredo sauce, actually. So it's like
just double.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it wasn't great, but it wasn't like terrible. It's like definitely like as a college boy, I've done grosser food challenges. That's what I'm trying to say.
And this is what I said in our recap before that episode. I called it. Thank you so much for confirming that, Eric. It's like all the boys are gonna do great at this challenge, and I think Eric's gonna win. Like this is how it is. So back to the tribal showmanship, when you had this extra vote and you were going just really hard, which I respected, did you think that you were going to get Doug and Sadie to flip? Does Tim flip as well? I can't even remember, right?
No, because Eric stole Tim's vote.
Oh, you stole Tim's vote. Well, there you go, Tim. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Yeah, so Tim flipped unwillingly. He had no choice in the matter. But he flipped. Great guy. I really just want to get Amanda, like, because I thought, like, Sadie, I was like, yeah, maybe whatever. But really, I was trying to say, like, yo, Amanda, look at this. You should probably vote with me. In the future, it'd be good to work with me. I thought, like, Amanda felt she was on the bottom of her tribe. Not tribe, but, like, alliance.
Yeah.
I think she felt very safe in her alliance. So that was, like, a misjudgment by me. So the reason I was like super aggressive there was I really was like, if I can get anyone, I need to get Amanda. And I feel like after the vote, Amanda should have saw she was the only one who didn't flip. So I feel like she should have realized, like, look, you're not in the loop when things go down. But instead, I don't know what happened where where that like doubled down, like, oh yeah, I don't like Eric. I guess it was like how I phrased it. That's what she said. Like, how I acted during tribal made her feel like she shouldn't work with me. But yeah.
Can I run a hypothetical by you?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any world that you don't tell Delaram and Dane that Delaram's getting voted out, and then afterwards you like pretend to be surprised by that and say, "No, Dane, I'm with you. I had no idea," and really try to work with them in that light? Is that something that ever crossed your mind?
It was 4D chess.
Yeah, it definitely didn't cross my mind because I just thought it would put me in a position where I would have to win immunity, or like we would have to win immunity.
Sure.
So like that didn't really cross my mind as an option. Like in hindsight, since what I didn't work out, that probably would have been a great move actually. Yeah, like with this 4-year gap, I have not thought of that option. So that's a great question actually.
Well, I think the Amanda thing is interesting because she is someone to go to. She is on the bottom, and you're completely correct. I think
she's not in the 6.
She doesn't want to believe it. You know, she has her alliance with her boys. She doesn't want to believe that she's on the outs, and she doesn't want to believe that it might be her, especially considering Delaram is the name going around. But also, you're right in that she doesn't flip, and it's, I guess I think the problem is that Doug sees Amanda as such a loyal number that he's never gonna act distrustworthy to her in a way that would scare her enough to flip to you. It's tricky because Amanda's a really interesting character, and that's what I kind of like about her is that she's so sort of stuck to her guns, and it's just like the worst person. Whereas someone like Sadie is just like panicked, but also like flipping and flopping. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your relationship with Sadie, because I don't really know what was going on with her anymore.
Yeah. So coming into the game, I think Amanda described herself as a Survivor superfan. So like I don't know if that was shown or not, but so my if I had to sum up someone in one word, she was super fan. So when I went to her, I was thinking, yeah, she's the person who, if I lay out everything, she's gonna come to the conclusion that it's the best option for her to flip, which is why I was I'm still in shock. It's been 4 years, I'm still in shock. That's how in shock I am. But yeah, so that's why I went to Amanda. For my relationship with Sadie, at first I thought we were pretty tight. I definitely actually talked to Sadie way more than I did to Dane, and she was the one who was actually telling me all this time who I should be voting for. But then at a certain point, I was like, dang, how does she know who to vote for? And then I'm like, oh man, something's a little sus here. So that's my relationship with Sadie was really I trust her a lot. But then the more and more I was working with her, the more I was like, dang, something here is not right.
I think one thing that I think really impressed us is you had actually really good reads on people, right? You come out really quickly saying, I think there's a 4, and that's Amanda, Chris, Tim, and Doug. We see you saying at the beginning of episode 2. Was that something that you realized earlier and they just put that in episode 2? How quickly did you pick up on that?
I'm pretty sure it was just right when it's okay. Let me think. I don't want to ruin the timeline of when I heard that.
It's okay. I think every Survivor fan knows that confessionals are all over the place.
Yeah, the confessionals are all over the place, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty early on. It definitely was just what gave it away was them walking in together. I'm like, you must have been doing something together beforehand. Yeah.
Because likewise, you have you have these reads on Sadie where I trust her, but she's not giving me. I think she's holding something back. I don't know what she's holding back, but she's holding back from me, and this is starting to really concern me.
Yeah, for that, I never thought there was a 6-person alliance. So that's the one that was the thing she was holding back. Yeah, for that, it's just I think everyone who plays knows that everyone's playing for themselves. So at a certain point. And you have to put yourself in my position. My position is I'm only talking to a couple of the people. I'm not talking to Doug. I'm not talking to Tim. And then somehow the people who I'm talking to, they always know what to do. And it's not really a discussion. At the beginning of the game, I'm like, oh, thank God it's not me this week. Thank God it's not me this week. But then as time goes on, if you're actually thinking about it, you're it's just these people somehow always know what's going on. They're always telling me, Eric, don't be worried. It's not you this week. And then you're like, wait, how the hell do you know this? You're you know everything and I know nothing. So then at that point you get suspicious. as long as you don't get too comfortable. Like I think when you play Survivor, if you get comfortable, that's the point where you get voted out. It's either when you're comfortable or you make a mistake. Those are like the two times where you have to be really careful. So at that point was kind of like I was uncomfortable by how comfortable it was.
Because Sadie really ends up being your Achilles heel, because you in episode, I forget, like 3 or something like that, or 2, is when you tell her, I think there's a 4 and I think Doug is leading it and this worries me. And Sadie immediately rats you out to Doug and says, this is what Eric is saying. This is a problem. And Doug's like, you're right. This is a problem. But it's because you have this forced 8 a.m. tribal that I think it causes Teresa to stay being the vote, and nothing is able to switch over you. And then there's all this follow afterwards where Doug's like, oh, Eric's a problem. I need to get rid of him ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
I think the other side of it too, just to chime in, is like, I think your tribe ended up kind of becoming this group of everybody praying that it's not them, where you see everybody who's on the outside essentially, and including Amanda, basically like, or I should say Amanda and everybody on the inside in the 6 is saying like, well, this 6 is going to keep me safe. And everybody on the outside is like, well, it's not me right now. And then everyone gets picked off, obviously. But like going forward, I'm very interested to see how like everything sort of shakes out, because, you know, Amanda, I think everybody just wants to believe that they're the important person in the alliance. They want to believe that Doug is the number one, that Doug has their back. And so they're kind of tricking themselves into saying, well, Eric is the problem. And once we lose Eric, there will be no problems.
Exactly. I think the same way. It's Doug's bust out a smile, and like, dang, even I'm like, man, maybe this guy's like on my side. So I understand it, but I really just I'm just saying, Amanda, if you ever watch this, you gotta think. There's Doug and Tim. How can you be Doug's number one if Tim's in the game? Or how can you be Tim's number one if Doug's in the game? That's just how it works. Like they're good friends. I heard that they're friends on Facebook too, which is like crazy. That's insane. I can't believe no one noticed this. But yeah.
I also like, God, I just love College Survivor so much because it'll just be like, I saw a photo of them at Halloween 2 years ago. Like, we gotta vote them out. But also, it sounds like the room of like Santi's eyes and Doug's smile is just like too powerful. Like,
yeah,
we need to break it up.
Yeah, we need no more monopolies. Break up Doug and Santi and Tim.
I imagine it's only get worse as the season progresses, but it should be fun for us viewers who are ignorant to find that out.
Yeah, Eric, did you kind of stick around to find out what happened in the season? Like, no spoilers, but do you know what happens?
Yeah, I think I end up winning because like I get brought back for like a Final Four thing. It's like a really weird twist. I don't know if I should be telling you this.
Outcast went only at four. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that'd be glorious.
I can't wait. I'm back in. All right, the show's back on.
So I actually know exactly what happened. Like I had to play by play the whole time. Like
yeah, you're gonna be like, Anders, text you and try.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm like texting Anders like, is it my time yet? He's like, yeah. It's like today. I'm like, all right, I'm back.
Oh man, that's fantastic. So did you enjoy your time with Survivor Maryland? Like, did you at least have a little bit of fun?
Yeah, I think it was like super fun, except for like that one tribal. Like I actually did feel bad after a tribal, mainly because it was raining and just like the vibe after. It was like very like bad vibes. It was sucky. It was very sucky after that tribal. It was bad vibes. It was raining. I'm walking away in the rain, and everyone else is like huddled in a circle talking. I'm like, just the vibe of despair.
Yeah,
it's like something like that. I don't think like it's probably like the first time I've ever felt that, and that was sucky. But like overall, I think it was pretty fun.
Have you been happy with how you felt you've been portrayed in the show?
Oh, I think Anders gave me like the best possible edit, considering like the amount of time I put into the game. Like he could have made me like some background character that like, well, I guess it would be impossible to make me a full background character because of like how big the thing
how
that
much
I did
people
was.
talk about you.
Yeah. But like I'm super happy about how I'm portrayed. I think he gave me an edit where I looked as much as the good guy as possible, where he could have made like the tribal, like he definitely could have made me seem like a villain and made Doug seem like a great guy. but just by how I act in the tribal. Like he could have built me up as a villain, but he decided to build me up as a hero. Like just like how it works, right? So I think I got great
You're
at
the
it.
real hero.
Exactly.
Screw that.
Yeah.
Well, I think my theory is that we see in a lot of your strategy moments that you're just like saying to Amanda, like, this is what's up, this is the truth, and you're fully correct, but you're coming at her, and it feels like it's almost like you found like 10 minutes of your day to think about Survivor, and you're like, all right, here's everything I've been thinking about, dumping it on you, and then you're like, all right, great, catch you later, and then like taking off, like, and it's being captured. But I was always kind of wondering, like, man, these like conversations are very direct, very like forward, and it makes more sense now. Like, well, this is the Survivor time. This is all the time I kind of have to play Survivor right now. Here's everything I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think one thing is I didn't really know how to like just like start a conversation. Like it's so weird. Just like
it's so hard.
Texting someone like, "Hey, let's talk," and then like, what do you say? So part of it was like I was spending a lot of time thinking about like these things, but when I actually got to these meetings, I'm like, how do I make small talk? Like, what do I say? And then so like my meetings are super direct because of that. But I was spending a lot of time thinking of it, but definitely not as I spent too much time thinking about it and less time doing it. I should have done more Survivor by socializing. But yeah.
One thing that you said this past episode that I thought was interesting is you kind of talked about like, I came to this game wanting to really be a villain. Looking back, do you wish you were a villain? Do you wish you played that way, or what things would you have changed when you look back at your game?
Yeah, I don't think it was possible for me to be a villain, because to be a villain, someone has to trust you with their like life. And then at their lowest, you gotta just give them one extra kick. Like that's how you be like a villain that everyone hates.
That kind of feels like what Jane did. Like
exactly.
Like,
so like yeah, like everyone else had that opportunity, but because I was on the outside, the only thing I could do is like be the underdog. Even if I want to be like an evil underdog, the only way to be an evil underdog is if I like kept winning immunity and kept on like rubbing in their face and like probably just like saying like haha bitches. But like but yeah.
You always tell the truth too. That's what I found interesting. You couldn't lie. You had to tell.
There was actually one time I lied, and I guess this goes back to the Sadie thing, where one time she was asking, "Hey Eric, are you looking for the idol?" And I was, but it was like a half truth because I said no. I'm shopping for a birthday present for my friend, and I was at the time she texted me, but I did look for the idol like beforehand. It's actually a super funny story because the idol clue, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it had like some number in it. So like from like a very roundabout way, I was like, well, there's this movie, like it was like Danger Zone or something. Like I don't know what the name of the movie was, but the title of the movie was in the thing. I was like, okay, so it's this movie. It was released in like this year. I'm gonna go to the building that's on this year and look around. and that's I think that's when I was looking for it. I think Liam saw me and he told someone, and someone told someone else, and it ended up going to my tribe. And then and then Sadie was like, "Hey Eric, are you looking for the idol?" I think that's when like she probably thought that she couldn't trust me anymore. If I just said yes, maybe she'd be more inclined to defend me. But yeah.
I'm amazed there's such a stigma against looking for the idol. I get like you're in college, you're busy, and you're trying to carve out time for Survivor, but man, like you have idol clues. It's like gotta make the most of it.
I think it's because I lied about it. If I just said, yeah, I was looking for earlier today here, then she'd probably be like, okay, at least he's not lying to me. But yeah. So that's lies in Survivor make them good. They can't be like shitty ones. They have to be really
the other tribes are watching you look for an idol.
Yeah, like I was looking at my back too, but apparently Liam just like walked on up, saw me, and then texted someone,
like
and
a ghost.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Just walked by.
Yeah.
Oh my
looking for the idol was like I spent a lot of time looking for that idol.
Did you ever find out where it actually was? Like did you find out where it was?
Yeah, it was like under a bench, like near the exact building that I was looking at. And like I was like looking inside the building, outside the building. I think I looked for like at another bench near the area. It was just bad luck, I guess.
So if you had, let's say you find the idol, would you have played it at this tribal council?
Oh, most definitely. There was no I at that point I probably would have like I probably would have done like another thing that was kind of stupid, but I probably would have told So like I tried talking to Angie and Abby, but they kind of ghosted me. Well, Abby 100% ghosted me. And when I talked to Angie, she gave me like some fake idol clues. Like I traded my real ones for fake ones, like the night of the tribal. No, it was just so doomed. Like I wasn't blindsided at all by this because like the night of the tribal, that's when I was like trying to message Angie and I traded my fake clues for like potentially real clues that looking back were fake. So like all of this stuff happens, and if I had the idol, I would have flaunted it. I would have said, "Look, guys, I have the idol." Like
this isn't happening.
Like you guys have to figure out who you want to be voted out. And I've been like, "Look, Angie, Abby, you guys just vote for Sadie with me, and they can figure out how they're gonna split like whatever decision they make." It would have been chaotic. It would have been so good. It would have been like even more fun because then I could actually be the villain. I could be like, "Look, guys, I'm out. You guys figure out how to like break up your own like party."
Yeah, like kind of like have fun when you really need to get to the thing. Like,
it's like
I was trying to think, like when Edna gets voted out of Survivor South Pacific, she's like, "Well, now you guys actually have to start voting each other out, so suck it." Like just that moment where it's like,
exactly.
Finally, you have to show your cards. We're excited for it. So, Stephen, did you have any other thoughts before we maybe wrap it up with Eric?
I guess the only other question I have is, would you do something like this again?
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty fun. I think over the summer, I played like in one of these online versions of Survivor Maryland. I'm not like, maybe I should be more open to playing with people I don't know, because I think like if I keep playing with people who also play Survivor Maryland, there's kind of like this circle where everyone knows each other. But I think that's also, I have the same feeling that with like these live reality games, it's also the same. So
it depends. It ranges in incestuousness.
There's a little more people to like sort of spread the breath, but we're all Facebook friends, so you can tell very easily.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I heard Naomi knows Steven, so it might be kind of tough, guys.
Oh yeah,
she'd vote me out.
That'd be the first boot. So I think you should totally consider playing again. The live games that are maybe like a weekend or even just a day can sometimes be super fun, and people work really hard to make it not so, everybody knows each other. And, and everything goes way faster, and you are kind of trapped with them. So it's a lot harder to just not socialize.
Yeah, true. It'd probably be pretty fun. I think, definitely not maybe online though.
We'll do like a live reality game with you and Teresa as captains, because that was something Teresa said was also a big problem for her. It's just like not having the time to socialize with people.
Yeah. Totally understand.
Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you so much for joining us. We were not looking forward to this moment, except for the fact that you're joining us. But otherwise, this sucks. We quit. Thank you so much for joining. Like, we can't express it enough. And I know everybody in like the comments is like a huge fan of yours, on like the YouTube comments, Survivor Maryland and stuff. So I think people are really bummed. Upset.
Hey, there's always someone else to root for. Like, you can root for Doug's megawatt smile. You can root for Mike's insane
Liam's cleats.
Yeah, you can root for Liam's cleats.
Shirt. Yeah.
Jam's great. Morgan is so sassy. Like, I wish I was on Morgan's tribe. Like, she's so sassy. Like, she's actually like probably the funniest person on the show. Like, I love her. She's great. So yeah, there's plenty of people to still root for. Definitely don't feel doomed. We all saw it coming. Everyone saw, like, look, this guy's weird. He's just fun to watch. So we'll be his fan. I'm happy that I even have fans. So yep, don't be doomed. Don't feel doomed.
Okay. You've pulled us out of the hole. We're here.
And you also told us to come back and win the game in like the finale. So therefore we can continue podcasting.
Exactly.
Eric, thank you so much.
Yep.
Right,
thank you
night.
guys. Have a great night.
Have
Bye.
a good one.
Bye, Eric.
So that was super fun. Steven, what else do we have to talk about?
So I would like to talk about, I think there's two things I really like to focus on. I want to geek out about the challenge.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about the upcoming swap and what it means. And then I think there's just a couple little things here and there we should talk about, like what on earth was that beaver or other animal doing in the show, and why was Josh chasing it among other players?
Oh, we didn't ask Eric. All right, fine. We'll ask Anders. Yes. I need answers. What was that little groundhog?
Yeah, like maybe it was a groundhog. Beaver's probably it was just like it had a large tail. I don't know. I was just very baffled.
My money's on groundhog.
Like my experience at UCLA, the only wildlife on campus are squirrels. They live in the trash cans. You throw stuff away, they fly up at your face. That's my only experience with wildlife.
When I was really bored in college, I used to try and train the squirrels that lived near my dorm to come like recognize me as a friend. All the like trail mix that my mom would give me that I wouldn't eat.
This is why higher education is important.
Yes, this is what I paid a lot of money for. So, first of all, this challenge, which you mentioned, was on the Genius. So, talk to me about the differences between the challenge here and on the Genius.
So, I was very excited to see this challenge. This challenge played out on the Korean game show called The Genius in season 2, episode 1. The Genius is a show where, forgive me if I get the numbers a little off, you have 14 players. They're playing an individual game, and each round they compete in a large social game that leaves some players immune, some people exposed. One player is selected to go into a death match, and they choose an opponent from the non-immune players, and they play a death match, and a person's eliminated. Repeat that week by week. And these challenges they come up with are very intellectual, and you really have to think hard to kind of figure out, how do I play this? How do I play it right? And how can I break the game in my favor? And so they, again, like I said, this was the premiere challenge for season 2. And what was interesting about the challenge on the show is, first, in the Korean show, they had stickers they had to put on people when you want to eat them. And so they were in these rooms that involved kind of more slapstick comedy of different players chasing other players around tables, trying to eat them with these little stickers. I was a little disappointed, Maryland. You had to only declare, "Hey, I eat such and such." And second, in the Korean show, it's an individual game. You can form alliances, certainly, but this was the first challenge of an individual game, so you don't really have alliances. So it's very much every player for themselves, which we don't see happen in this game, where we see both tribes immediately come and strategize as a tribe, even though it's an individual game.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like, this is, I'm sure Anders kind of wanted it to be more individual and more cutthroat, and just like the way that I think I had sort of talked about it earlier, but I really think a lot of people in this point in the game are playing scared. And so when you're playing scared, what do? You go back to your tribe. You go back to what you know is safe, which is, oh, this is my tribe that has not voted me out yet, and I trust them. And so everybody was revealing their information, and we got much less of a cutthroat game than I think we would have had this been a challenge that happened post-merge. Which sucks, but in its own way is very entertaining, because we're just watching everybody be like, okay, so if I kill you, you die, and then we'll all be, okay, great.
Well, what's interesting when you think about this as a tribal game, there's 2 strategies to approach this, right? The first is you want to either have, I think the first order concern for individuals, how do I make sure I don't go to tribal council? How am I safe? And the second order concern is, if I go to tribal council, how do I make sure I have a majority, right? And the most assured way is like, well, if I can just convince all my allies to lose with me, so therefore we have a majority no matter what, and then I'm safe, a la Doug, who like cuts a deal with Josh to not get eaten, that's like the best situation, where it's like, either I'm safe and I'm good, or I'm sure I have a majority if I go to tribal council.
That reminded me of like in Big Brother, and just get mad again that I talked about Big Brother, but when people like go for the money rather than like going for the veto, or they don't try in a certain thing, but they go for some other aspect of it, like people will get upset with them. And I was shocked that Doug somehow got everybody to throw it or go out, and then didn't get eaten, and nobody thought that was suspicious at all. Like, throwing a comp or throwing like a challenge, usually somebody has something to say about it. And I think it just goes to show how well Doug has everybody sort of wrapped around his fingers, that nobody really cared.
I mean, and to Doug's advantage, I thought what was interesting about this is, at least to my recollection of the Korean show, only the 4 predator animals, the eagle, the alligator, the lion, and the hyena, can eat another player, can attack another player. I don't remember on the show, and maybe because, like, again, that was a much more individualistic game. Why would you suicide? I don't remember the prey animals being able to attack another animal who commit suicide that way. So that was, I don't know if that was, I didn't go back to double check the rules. I don't know if that was explicit or just people extrapolated, but it was very interesting to say, hey, we need to make sure our alliance gets there. Let's just make sure we die somehow. And if that means we have to arrange these funky maneuvers where the hedgehog attacks the snake or something like that and stuff like that. I don't know.
And I loved, I have to say my favorite part of the whole episode was just like Josh's face whenever Doug was talking, just like the biggest eyes I've ever seen anyone have ever, like listening to Doug and just being like, and I was like, go Josh, because Josh like really ups his sort of spot in the game by making this alliance with Doug. And I really think that like if Doug brings Josh in, that's a great thing for Doug, and it's a great thing for Josh because Doug is the bigger target than Josh, hands down.
I mean, I think I want to think a little bit more about Eric, and we discussed this and what he could have done. I think given that we saw that everyone was so upfront about their information of who they were, I think that was bad for him, right? I think because if you disguise yourself as the Hawk, that's okay. If people are all operating off of limited information, don't know who or what you are. But again, the predators can still be attacked by the predators. I think, like for him, he should have said, I'm the snake. If I'm attacked as the snake, the person who attacks me dies. Therefore, people are disinclined to attack me. The only way to make me lose is for not many people to be killed overall, which in this game isn't going to happen.
Right. Exactly.
So I think that was a missed opportunity on his part, unfortunately. And maybe that could have gotten him the win, or maybe he would still ended up at that ill-fated tribal council.
Yeah, like he said, with like 17 or whatever, however many other people targeting you, it just like, you just suddenly are like, oh shit, like everybody's out to get me.
And the only other strategy, sorry, I'm going to get a little bit more. The only other strategy that was on the Korean show that I didn't see happen here is how does the hyena make the lion lose? The hyena's victory condition is the lion losing. The lion's victory condition is it survives and eats a player every round. The hyena needs to eat as many people as possible before it's killed. Because you want to starve out the lion by round 4.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering if we'd see that come to place, but it didn't happen. But that's okay.
I really would love to see. Like Andrews is really coming up with these really innovative challenges. Even if we're taking them from other places to apply them to like a Survivor setting, I think is really great. And this sort of twist in the tribal council is also really great. Because you can either be self-preserving and say, I don't want to go to tribal council. I might lose somebody from my side, but at least it's not me. Or you can say, I'm going to get everybody to go to tribal council so we can weaken the other tribe. And I'm really interested to see that it never crossed their minds to weaken the red tribe, except for in the event of an idol.
Yeah, I am surprisingly higher on this twist than I thought it would be. I mean, my experience in the real Survivor show, where we have these kind of joint tribal councils, think of Game Changers, where Malcolm goes home, think of Edge of Extinction, where Wendy goes home. I've always been a little underwhelmed by them. I don't know. It's just, this was much more fascinating, where we see a larger tribe say, we're willing to sacrifice one of our own no matter what, sell it to the tribe, and pick up potential alliance members in the process. That was very fun to watch, especially because it was such a piecemeal attendance of both tribes too.
Yeah, I and you know what I think also is, I don't think combined tribal councils work in large numbers. I think they work in small numbers, like this, like 7 people, 8 people. That's when you really start to see the claws come out. When it's like 10 or like 11, that's too many people, and people are going to just try and hide behind one another to escape by.
And I thought this was a nice touch to dovetail this, where you start seeing this inter-tribe mingling lead into a swap situation where you already have people starting to begin to form bonds like this. Like, okay, now we're going to swap. Now, if you did go that joint tribal council, you have a lot to leverage off of that. Right.
And, hey, I kept you safe. And especially what is actually one of the best moves of this vote is what Amanda and Tim do. I think that is the smartest move, is to say, I want to make sure I'm being very careful in who I'm throwing the votes on, because that will impact my game way in the future. And I think that like, you know, they can go to, because they do vote for Abby, right? I'm not making this up.
No,
in my
I thought
head.
they voted Angie.
Did they vote Angie? Oh no, I'm like, I've watched so much TV. I swear I thought they voted Abby because I was like, oh, Abby might go home.
Okay, no, you're right. It was Abby. So it was one Sadie,
Because
4
I got
Eric,
tricked by the edit for a
2
good
Abby.
second.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I got tricked by the edit for a good second. I was like, oh, maybe Abby will go home. Because they were fighting really hard to make sure that they voted for somebody that they thought wouldn't blow back on them. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're Amanda now, you can go to Angie and say, hey, I didn't vote for you because I want to work with you. We had to vote for Abby because they told, like, they wanted us to vote for you, but we didn't vote for you. And I think, you know, if you're Angie, you're a little skeptical, but it's better when somebody comes to you and says, we didn't want to vote for you and we didn't, than we didn't want to vote for you, but we did.
I don't think there's too much we can talk about this pre-tribal scramble, but I kind of want to talk about who are the winners and losers of this vote, because I think there are some clear delineations here. So
totally.
Loser, Eric, he goes home. We're depressed. We're wearing black. That's a given.
You don't have to call him a loser.
I'm just of this round. But then let's talk about Abby and Angie's situation. Do you like what they did here?
I actually think that it was their smartest play not to work with Eric, because at most that's 3 votes, and what were there, like 8 people in this tribal council? Because it's, let's do math, Eric, Angie, Abby, Tim.
They could have actually had a plurality and won this vote.
Oh, Dane, Sadie.
Right? Because 7? What happens is, so the votes are Amanda and Tim vote for Abby. Sadie and Dane vote for Eric. Eric votes for Sadie. Abby and Angie could have voted for Sadie too, and that would have been a 3-2-2. I mean, and granted, like, there's no way they would could have known or ever anticipated that there would be a 2-2 split relying on their votes. I don't think I would come to my mind as something that happened. I think like maybe they're going to slough a vote, not 2 votes. But knowing the perfect information we know now, they could have worked with Eric to take out Sadie or someone else.
Yeah, and I think maybe if Eric even like I would have found it interesting to see if Eric would have voted for Abby. Like, if Eric says, look, I will vote for Abby and I will do whatever you want to do if you just keep me in this game.
Yeah.
And what the possible like outcome of that would be. I think if we ever talk to like Tim or Amanda or Dane, I think we could find out. His relationship with Sadie really just falls apart here.
The fact he votes for her is you're like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like such a bummer too, because I know that, you know, they were in this sort of tighter group, and like I guess it's just I hate to see alliances crumble with like very little push, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like a good alliance crumbling is fun, but like not when it's just like boof, it's done.
So I want to talk about Sadie, but just to wrap up Abby and Angie. I think what they did is fine. I think this was a dangerous situation to come rolling into this as a minority from a different tribe and a cross-tribal vote. I think being able to vote Eric was a gift. They took it. I don't fault them. I do think there was maybe some other options that could have been available to them, but they clearly weren't interested in taking it. I think that's okay. Because it's been so much more risky.
Say that Abby is pretty disconnected from the game. Angie doesn't have anybody she's really working with in this. So I don't think Angie has a lot of people to bounce options off of. So like maybe if like her and Morgan, and if Angie had swapped with somebody she wanted to save, maybe she would have worked a little bit harder. But you know, they made a good move. They're winners in this, I think. So
tell me your thoughts on Sadie this episode and where we're going with her.
Like, I really like Sadie, but I think she's getting, I think what Erica described is you start to mess up when you get comfortable. I think Sadie is getting comfortable. I think Sadie is convincing herself that she's with Tim, she's with Doug, everything's going great, we're the best of friends, we're the angels. And I think it's going to come and bite Sadie in the butt. I think Sadie is going to get super comfy with whatever group she's in, and then Amanda is going to work harder and snake Sadie. Like, that's my sort of prediction long term.
Yeah, I was very impressed this episode where Sadie rolls in and brings in Dale Ram saying we're each other's number ones. It's okay. Even after we saw Sadie be willing to cut Dale Ram last episode, and she somehow pulls it in, fixes it, and cements this alliance. I'm like, oh my gosh. First of all, Dale Ram, shame on you. But second, Sadie, good for you. But then we get that confessional from Amanda. She's like, I'm looking at everything Sadie's doing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's playing hard and she's playing well and she's controlling the game. And I want to do that. So this is not acceptable. I need to think about how long I'm going to let this last.
Yeah, badass Amanda move, I have to say. Like, I know some people give Amanda a little bit of flack for not wanting to work with women, but Amanda sort of sees herself as the, let's say, the driver, and she wants to be in charge. And it's kind of badass of her to be like, I'm going to take your spot. Oh, shit. I'm trying to think of a Survivor example like that where it's like, I'm going to vote at your ally so I can be there.
Yeah, I'm blanking on examples of that, but no, I thought this made me a lot higher on Amanda, and it left me kind of like, I realized that I agree that at some point I think in the merge we're going to see a nasty blindside on Sadie.
Yep, I agree. Or even in a swap, like if Amanda and Sadie, let's say, are swapped to one tribe, I think Sadie might be convinced to try and find a crack and be like, oh, me and Amanda are strong. Then Amanda's gonna, I'll vote her out. What's up? Let's do it.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say,
a new person.
I think Amanda and Tim came out big winners in this vote.
Yeah. I think Amanda and Tim got their way. They executed this great split vote plan that worked perfectly and would have solved a lot of issues unless Eric had precognition powers to convince Abby and Angie to work with them. So it was this beautiful split. We saw this great debate on who was best to go with and why, and kind of was forming new allies out of this. Saw Amanda leveraging her relationship with Liam, which I didn't think was going to go anywhere, but it turned out to be maybe important. And they got rid of Eric, who was never going to work with them, who was going to target them because of Doug.
And not to mention, I think Amanda is in a great spot because, yes, Doug obviously has Tim, but Tim seems like somebody who could go at a swap, whereas Amanda has been working very, very hard. Like, Amanda is not stopping, she's always strategizing, always kind of moving forward to the point where she's in a spot where Doug is an enormous threat. Doug is also making alliances with other people. So, maybe Amanda and Josh becomes sort of a connection, or Amanda and Santi or something. And Amanda and Liam is a great connection that is fostering and going forward. So Amanda sort of has this web in front of her that she just is going to start climbing out more into, if that makes sense. She's going to start exploring all the options she has. And I think she's in a great spot. Anybody who is aligned with Doug right now is actually in a much better spot than I think I think most people would assume, because Doug is such a huge threat, except for maybe Sadie. And that's only because Amanda is has a bullseye on her back. That makes sense.
I know he wasn't part of this tribal council, but I'm going to say the player of the episode is Doug. He has his cake and he eats it too. He gets Eric out, but he doesn't even need the 10 tribal council. He plays Josh. He gets Josh to leave him immune. He put in work this episode. He deserves it.
I really agree, especially bouncing back from, the extra vote booth that was just chaos and could have easily been him. He bounces back. Dane kind of saves him a little bit, but Doug really puts in the work to say, I will do whatever you want to do. Don't vote me out.
Well, let's talk about the last person this tribal and who I was frustrated with this week. Let's talk about Dane. Was this a good or bad move for him?
I don't know what Dane's doing. I don't know what Dane is doing. I'm very perplexed as to why he was so. I think Dane is just in a weird state of perception. Dane is saying, Eric played me. Eric does this. Eric does that. And I'm kind of sitting here being like, I don't know what's happening in Dane world. But I guess would Dane world be Denmark? But I don't know what's happening in Dane world. And he's just doing whatever he thinks is happening, but a lot of it is completely untrue or sort of fabricated in his mind. And he's losing allies. He doesn't have a lot of alliances. I would not be shocked if Dane goes in this swap, because I think he is this kind of unfortunate combination of pretty aggressive about who he's working with, and then also pretty set in what he wants to do. And Delaram doesn't seem like Delaram and Dane are not like the ideal duo,
Mm-mm. I mean, they've both played more passive games to this point, right? It wasn't until Eric comes and says, "Knock knock, Delaram's being voted out. We need to stop this." That you really see kind of Dane and Delaram come to life and be more active. It was weird hearing his reasons to vote Eric out, and I didn't think Eric's final tribal council was that off-putting. Clearly, it was to other people and to Dane. If there was no tribe swap as a result of this, this would have just been the worst move ever. Because I'm like, well, Dane, what's happening on your tribe? They just targeted you in Delaram. Why are they not going to target you in Delaram again? Why are they what was the next move? Were you just thinking oh, they're going to let go of Amanda again? Clearly wasn't that happening last time.
Yeah, I think that's also the interesting thing about Amanda is kind of like this fallacy of oh, we're going to vote for Amanda, and you're never going to vote for Amanda. It's gonna be you. And I think if Dane is too athletic, let's say Dane proves to be an athletic guy on a tribe. If he's on a majority with red, which is likely, if I was on the red tribe, I'd look at him and go, well, that's kind of a physical threat come merge. If we lose the challenge before the merge, let's vote him out. What are we losing by losing one guy? And I think it could happen very easily to him.
Yeah, it just shocked me that because I really thought we were going to see a Dale, Dana, Rom, and Eric trio versus the other four in their tribe, and this tribal council could have been an opportunity for them to snipe one of those people. Dane and Eric could have picked up Abby and Angie and said, "Hey, we need to take out this other threat to your alliance down the road." And I really thought that's where we were going, and nope, Dane just went straight back to the other four and said, "Let's make this work." And honestly, given that there's a swap, it's not bad. It's not bad to kind of mend roads and cement things and fix things from there for when you are divvied up. But
you better snake them down the line. You better get them because they're going to get you. Yeah, you're right. A swap is one thing. The impending swap always makes sort of choices very difficult. But oy vey, Dane, I don't know what was going on. Sorry, buddy.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about this episode? Do you want to talk about prospectively looking at the swap and who benefits from it?
I don't think there's much to talk about. I think come the swap, I'm very excited to see Doug and Santi if they connect, and if Liam and Amanda connect. Those are my two big what's going to happen if those two end up on a tribe together questions.
I think the swap has been very good for Santi. We saw rumblings this episode of his own tribe saying, well, if we're worried about blindsiding Josh, why don't we just cut off the head of the snake and take out Santi instead and get Josh to flush the hypothetical idol. So I think this is a good swap for Josh and Santi because I think they're going to be picked up in the Doug alliance.
Yes.
I think the real question is: does the majority Mike alliance form some sort of continued partnership with the Doug alliance, or do we start seeing a war between them?
It's interesting. I think it's really going to depend on Josh, and if Josh, I'm hoping that somehow the news of the potential Josh boot, if Josh didn't win immunity, he was probably going to go.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that news gets back to Josh. And then Josh makes a move. That's what I'm really hoping is going to happen.
So Josh flips on his old tribe.
I'm kind of hoping, or at least says doesn't even flip on all of them. Just says okay, well, who can I trust? It's Santi. Great, Santi. You like Doug. You live with him. Okay, great. Let's do something and see how it goes. I'm excited that we had this before the swap. Because I think you're right. It really kind of opens up the floodgates for everybody to socialize before they even are swapped onto different tribes.
Yeah. So I think this is good for Josh. I think this is good for Santi because again, I think we also see Santi and Doug finally say, yeah, we should work with each other, and it's probably best for their games that they do, considering where they're at. I think this is good for Dela, Rom, and Dane because this might be the lifeline they need, not to just immediately be picked off. The other people, I think it's probably worse for Mike and Abby. I think they're going to be a lot more exposed as of this.
Oh, yeah. And I think this could foreseeably go bad for Liam if his advantage becomes a big talking point.
Yeah. Again, I think it really depends on is he with Amanda or not?
Yeah, exactly. If he's going to connect with Amanda and say, I have this extra vote, let's do it, let's go with it, then Amanda's definitely not going to be incentivized to go against him. But if Liam sort of doesn't talk to her about it, because I think Liam has to really approach it like, hey, remember that time that I said that I would let you use my extra vote? Still good. We're still here. Because otherwise she might get paranoid that he's not actually thinking about it and he lied to her. Because she didn't really trust him anyways. And we're only seeing the beginnings of a blossoming friendship, and we really need to solidify it with this next action.
So who has to go out for you to wear black next week? Like, where are the one or two players that you're gonna be mourning about if they go home?
I think honestly, if Jam goes home, I'll be devastated. That's the big one to me, because to me, Jam is like the real sort of breath, or Josh, just because I think Josh is hilarious.
Jasmine, Angie, and Morgan, for the people who aren't up to date on their acronyms.
So the Jam alliance, I think, would be devastating to me, because I think those three women have a really interesting dynamic. They're really funny, and they are sort of the lifeline in terms of like people who are able to sort of play the middle and like sort of be an effective alliance. You know, they're keeping each other safe. And I do really like Liam, but like I would be mourning Jam and I'd be mourning Josh, because I think Josh is like hilariously sort of stumbling. He's like a Fabio to me, if that makes sense. He's just kind of
stumbling through the game and getting through.
And he's doing great, but he doesn't know that he's like could be totally boned if he's not careful. So I love it. I love Josh. He cracks me up. Like he looks like a little bit like a cartoon character, and I think that's why he cracks me up so much. But you know,
he's Jewish.
No, that just makes me like, you know, that just gets me right here. No, and the other thing is, I think I'm excited to see Tim shine more now that Chris is out of the picture, and now that this sort of like Eric feud with Doug is over, because I think more airtime will open up for other relationships. And so I'm eager to see if Doug botches his Amanda relationship. I think that's the big thing to look out for, because Tim had always expressed that he didn't really care about Amanda. And so we'll see if he now suddenly cares a lot about Amanda.
So I think for me, I agree. My favorite alliance in the game is the Tape Alliance, the Jam Alliance, the Jasmine, Angie, Morgan Alliance, especially because Morgan's my winner pick. If one of them goes home, I'm going to be very sad, because I think they've really positioned themselves interesting in the game. And then honestly, I don't want to see Doug go home. I want to see Doug I want to see Doug go far in the game and continue weaseling like the way he has been. It's been impressive. I like to see it continue, and I like to see him go down like a villain.
If Doug doesn't make the merge, I will be pretty upset. Like in my head, there's a list of people I would like to make the merge, and Doug is definitely on that list. You know, because we want to see the people who are playing the hardest. He almost reminds me of like Schubel in a little bit of a way, where he's being like a little rat. He's being a little sneaky, but you kind of love him.
I feel he's a little bit more transparent than Schubel. Schubel had put in such an act for people, and it took them a bit to decipher through. And like, I think people describe. Eric even described Doug as a very nice guy. Like Doug, I think Doug is a nice person. But Doug also really likes the game, is really playing it to his capabilities, and that means playing a little bit like a weasel, playing a little bit diabolical, and you can tell he kind of relishes it.
Is he kind of like a Tony, if that makes sense? I don't think he's like a flashy Tony, but I think he's like a Winners at War Tony that's like, I need 6 tokens. Can you give me 6 tokens?
Yeah, I think it should be interesting to see what things he can broker or make happen later on this game.
Yes, exactly. What does his social capital allow him to do? I'm super excited to see it. You know, a new episode in like 2 days. Not even.
Tune in Monday for the next episode. We'll see the swap. We'll see how it all unfolds, and hopefully none of our favorites go home.
Absolutely. And if you want to play in a live reality game, first of all, Survivor New York is casting. You can visit tinyurl.com/SMIcasting. We're opening the pool. The game isn't happening yet. Don't worry. We would like a vaccine to exist first. Want to apply for a live reality game, though? Check out facebook.com/groups/LRG casting. We have viewer groups for every single LRG that we are podcasting about. So Survivor New York, UVA, Maryland, Michigan. We have groups for discussion and talk. You can talk with us. You can talk with other people who are watching along. Anders, the host, is in there too. So get involved with the LRG community by joining a group for your favorite LRG show. And most importantly, give Live Reality Games a like on Facebook and subscribe to us on wherever you get your podcasts. I can't believe I'm the person who says that now. I'm excited. Wherever you get your podcasts.
May I make one plug before we call it a night?
Make a plug. Make a
All
plug.
right, so I did a podcast today with the great Hannah, as well as Kirk and Dustin, on a new LRG podcast called LRG's 101. The goal of this podcast is to take a more meta-analysis of what live reality games are, and in this opening podcast, we try to pin down a definition of what a live reality game is, and kind of say what's out there in the world. What are the different games that are playing, to get an overview of this community. And going forward, we want to look more high level at, like, casting. How do you make a good cast? Or what are the twists we've seen? What worked and what hasn't? How do you play these games? How to avoid being the first boot? How to win these games? So hopefully we'll see more. Hopefully we'll push more content in the near future on this.
Yes, absolutely. I love that so much. And also, I said this to Steven, maybe I'll be on one day to talk about how I absolutely destroyed somebody on Reddit because they wanted to do, I found the post, they wanted to do a 24-day game with 24 people.
That sounds amazing. Ever. Sounds amazing, but terrible to orchestrate.
Insane. So if maybe I'll come on and talk about that and talk about like maybe the logistics of filming a game. There's so much to be learned about live reality games. And the more we get to put our collective brain power to use, the more we get to sort of help the community and really get to learn from each other. I'm stealing any good challenge idea I hear. Let me make that very clear. Steal challenge ideas. That's my big tip. I've been watching the challenge, and that's what I'm doing right now. So make sure you subscribe on something you listen to. I don't know. All right, I'm going to bed. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening.